Hi, it's Sarah Jane here in my studio at Heritage Art. Welcome back. It's October 2025 and I wanted to give you a brief update on my Dear Jane projects. First up though, a quick shout out to my quilt behind here, designed by Tara Faughnan, Faughnan, and the quilt is called Traverse. Some of the rows are paper pieced, good practice for the intricate Dear Jane quilt, but it's just a riot of colour and I love it. It's lots of fun, out of my wheelhouse, but it's good to challenge yourself sometimes with colours as well as piecing techniques. Anyway, back to Dear Jane. Okay, moment of honesty. I really thought I was okay with just sitting and being in life, and I like to sit and read a book. I like to sit and look at nature in the summertime, particularly as it's really cold here in Ottawa in winter. So you want to maximize that time outside. But of course, when we're doing that, we're not at our sewing machine sewing. So I always have this little part of me that's like feels guilty that I'm not producing or making the blocks for my project. So I have to say that it's been quite a challenge just to sit and be and not run off to my sewing room and create. So that said, I've had a great summer. It's been lovely outside, and just in the last week, actually, I've got back to my Dear Jane book, pattern book, and I produced a few blocks. So the first funny one though is in an earlier video, I showed you that I had this wool mat and I cut out the blocks for the pieces for each block and pinned them on here so I know the layout. So I had one pinned on this mat for about 6 weeks over a summer, and I just didn't get to it because, life happened. Well, this is what the paper normally looks like, right? It's just like a newsprint. But because the block sat on my wool mat all summer, it actually turned quite yellow, which I thought was pretty funny. It got bleached in the sun. I don't leave fabric there, and it doesn't shine on my thread. I have blinds that I pull, but this little guy kind of escaped my notice. I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, so this is the block that sat there for 6 weeks. And it was a little bit challenging just because of all the little pieces in the middle. In fact, this central rectangle was meant to be the blocks, like on the sections on the sides here. And I tried and tried. You can even see on the back, there's no paper left, because I just had to unpick it so many times. And in the end, I thought, well, you know what? This is Sarah's version of Dear Jane, so I'm just going to put a strip there, and I'm totally at peace with that. So just a reminder, make the quilt your own. It's okay if you change it up somewhat. Anyway, so there's that block. Here's a couple of others. This one's really cool with the diamonds. I really like that. This one looks a little bit like a bear paw block, but it's not quite. Then the next three just all have like a central unit, which is pretty cool. Very intricate, but loads of fun. This one's called Shutterbug, like a camera. And I love that. That's didn't take honestly a long time. There was one piece I put the wrong color in and had to take it out. But the last block was this one, relatively easy. It's called Which Points West. Not sure why, but you can see it's just got 4 seams, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the corners. So you sew like this section, say this bottom straight side of the central square, and then you turn the fabric. So you've sewed that on, then you fold the fabric, the papers, and then you put your needle right through the corner here where they both meet. So it's the corner of the central square, and then you can sew out or you can sew in. Well, 3 of them went really well. And the 4th corner, darn it, it just didn't want to go. So I ended up ripping out the whole seam rather than just trying to fix the bit in the middle. I just took out the whole seam and redid it, and it was fine. So lesson learned there. Don't be shy to rip out the entire seam and start over. The fabric will just lay flatter and be much happier. So there we go. There's my my fun blocks. I've got a whole lot more printed off and the fabric chosen. So next month for sure, I'll have some orange ones to show you. Anyway, that's all for now. Appreciate any comments you leave. Have a great month.